And let's now get more perspective from James Corbett, editor of the Corbett Report. James, nice to see you as always. So if Israel did indeed team up with Turkey to conduct a strike on Syria, what's in it for Ankara?
Well, again, we do have to stress that these are preliminary reports, so they do need to be confirmed. But if this, in fact, did take place, then this is obviously a pretty big move from just the recent apology over the Mavi Marmara incident to full-fledged joint military operations. And that would be quite striking to a lot of people. But I think it just serves to show, again, if it is true, that Turkey really has been trying to play a role in shaping what's happening in Syria for some time now. And I think they really want to step up their regional dominance by being a staging ground and an arming ground for the Free Syrian Army and other Syrian rebels. And also, I think they see the political tea leaves and read which direction the wind is blowing and understand that it could certainly help them that in the event that ultimately there is some sort of military intervention in Syria, if they've been on the right side of that event from the NATO perspective all along, then I think their regional dominance will be seen to be greater as a result. So I think Ankara is really playing a political game here that sees them growing in importance the more that they help the U.S. and Israel and their allies in waging this war on Syria.
After the previous strike by Israel, Damascus claimed it was a declaration of war. From your point of view, how Syria is about to react now?
Well, this has to be seen as an act of war. It's a declaration of war by decree, by default, if not by decree. And certainly this is a huge step for any two nations. So I think that this has to be seen as an act of war. I think the only appropriate response would be for Syria to treat it as such. And in fact, there is some indications that there has already been some sort of retaliation. Just shortly after this airstrike occurred, there was an F-16 that was downed at sea, an Israeli F-16 was downed at sea. The official explanation was that it was engine malfunction, and now the entire Israeli Air Force has grounded all of its F-15s and F-16s. But sources inside Syria are indicating that, in fact, that was shot down by Syria. So there's still some up in the air about that report. But if true, again, that means that Syria has already taken this quite seriously.
Yeah, again, Turkey is one of the strongest opponents of the Syrian government, and so surely Ankara would have nothing against teaming up with Israel, which is no friend of Ankara either. What do you think?
Well, I think obviously, yeah, these types of extreme circumstances can create strange bedfellows, and most people wouldn't see Turkey and Israel getting into bed in a military operation. But again, they do share that animosity towards Syria, and I think they're both interested in seeing the Assad government overthrown. So I think in this case it does make sense, and it goes to show that I think Erdogan is more likely to cozy up to Israel than the massive the Turkish population. I think there's a big divide between what the Turkish people think about this and what the Erdogan government is doing.
Absolutely. And actually, I wanted to ask you what would be the repercussions of Turkey's possible involvement. How, for example, would the Kurdish population view this?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Not only the Kurdish population, I think the Turkish population generally, if this were to be confirmed, would be quite upset about this. And of course, we've already seen some massive protests taking place in Turkey. So I think that the Erdogan government is especially on a knife edge at this point and can't really handle much in terms of a political scandal. So I think that if it were to be revealed that they were complicit with Israel in attacking another Muslim nation, that would be the type of thing that we might see might actually topple the Erdogan government overall. So I think this is a really precarious situation for Turkey at the moment.
All right. James Corbett, editor of the Corbett Report. James, thank you very much indeed.